Hi there. My name is Daan Hoogland. Uh, I'm I'm two things here. The second one is just for you English speakers, so you know what my name is. Uh, Both of them are email addresses for several different things. One word for ShapeBlue, my personal sponsor. I work at ShapeBlue since 2017, and I have been working before that with CloudStack for other companies, Schubert Phyllis and LeaseWeb, and also doing other things. I've been in open source before that, working with, for instance, Emacs, early Linux variations. I'm now a community member at ShapeBlue, and these are other things I am. My slides won't be as interesting as Guido's, by the way. Sorry, it's not the kind of guy I am. And I have only 20. Also kids, sports, etc. So this is the context, what I'm going to talk about. Mainly you got to look at these 2 points. These are what I'm going to talk about. And the rest is just filling. CKS, CloudStack, Kubernetes services, and CAPC, which is the CloudStack version of Cluster API. So first slide history. CKS was started as CCS, and then there was a lot of discussion in the CloudStack community about how the architecture should be, and at a certain moment, some visionary just bite the bullet and said, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to implement the Kubernetes cluster. So we have something. And that was what was developed. It's been developed and maintained mostly by ShapeBlue people, but it's a CloudStack integrated plugin. So it's basically available for everybody to work on. And of course, it's in Java because it's part of CloudStack. Then CAPC, it was done in cooperation with Amazon. Why they wanted a CAPC implementation? Well, you can guess, but there's of course several business reasons why they want to give their customers the opportunity to move out. So they, in cooperation with us, they made the CAPC implementation. It's now mostly maintained by AWS people. It's not part of CloudStack. It's a separate project inside the Kubernetes community. And of course, it's written in Go, as most of these things are written. So to give you a peek into the future, basically what you get is CKS is a press of the button implementation of a Kubernetes cluster. And most of the work that you do will be inside the CloudStack UI. You just need a couple of extras like registering things from outside, looking in your web browser where to find them, and then you're done. CAPC is more of a client to CloudStack. So it knows about how CloudStack works, but it's a fully Kubernetes focused API that you use to install a cluster. Right, and of course you get the configuration flexibility of Kubernetes APIs, cluster APIs, whereas in CKS you get what the user interface provides you, and if you want to extend that, then happy Java program. I think I spoke before my turn here, so easier to get started, one click, ready to use. It's basically what what you need to be starting as a beginner in Kubernetes. And there's no need for an extra machine. You just have the interface and you're done. Whereas with CAPC, you need to first learn about Kubernetes a lot. You need a control plane of your own, which of course can be a virtual machine inside CloudStack. There's no issue with that, but you need to install it and make sure that it contains the right tooling. If you have done that, you can customize it and use all the intricacies of Kubernetes to get your environment running. These are the similarities. So in CloudStack, you need to register one page in ISO with the Kubernetes tooling that will then be mounted on a machine and will be used to install whatever. In CAPC, you need to register a template ready with all the tooling, and you can then let the CAPC API install that in CloudStack as a virtual machine, either as a control node or as a worker node. Both need a service offering, both get, of course, the cluster, as you would expect of a Kubernetes cluster. Here is a summary of the commands you need in both kinds. Kube control, in the case of CKS, it is installed, but you don't use it. It's being used by the system. All the other tools is what you use for, on the right side, is what you use in the case that you use a CAPC installation. So, CKS. What happens with CKS is that you just press the button. I have some demo environments, but I promised myself not to do a demo. Not in 30 minutes and not with the risk of all the network here. But I can show you offline, of course, how this works in a demo environment. You press the button, it configures its nodes, and then you end up with a Kubernetes cluster in the end. So here are the commands that you would usually use in the UI. I did this on the command line as an extra exercise to show what needs to be done. The most important part is after you register the right things and install the cluster, is that you still don't have access, and you need to enable that access because of some security issues with Kubernetes, where it doesn't generate a key for you, or at least not a key that is readily usable directly. So what you need to do is go to the page for your Kubernetes cluster, click access, and then get the right data to retrieve your key from your Kubernetes installation. So this is a cookbook for how you generate new Kubernetes ISOs that you can then register. And I'll probably have time, so I'll give you a few on how to register, etc. But basically, you don't need any of this because we have a repository at the bottom where you can retrieve those. You can register them directly into CloudStack, and they're ready to use. CAPC is a little more complicated. Basically, CAPC is the CAPI implementation for CloudStack. So it works the same on CloudStack as it would on one of the hyperscalers, or maybe OpenStack, or Proxmox. What you need is the cluster definition, and that's where your own control plane comes inside. You have a machine, and you install kube control and cluster control, generate your configuration, and then you apply it. It has a configuration line that says this is a CloudStack cluster. It has also, of course, a configuration that you apply to it with the credentials that you need in CloudStack. So it will know how to talk to your CloudStack and where to find it, the IP address, etc., etc. Then you can deploy your cluster. So there's some prerequisites. Yeah, I'm not going to go all too deep into those. You'll find a link to where to find these in my presentation. I hope. If not, I'll add it before I submit it to the organization. So you'll find it. And you can see, of course, that it's a lot more work to do than in the case of CKS. Interesting is that there's this site. This is a good starting site for any KPI work, whether it's CloudStack or another one. You can also find here the prerequisite. We support it since 4.14 and since Kubernetes 1.22, but don't go there, just pick the newest ones. And of course, a lot of CloudStack installations at the moment are 4.18, but that's not a big deal. You can use 4.19 or 4.18 the same way. There's no big changes there. So with CAPC, as I explained, you install your own control plane, a virtual machine, for instance, or on your laptop. You execute create cluster, and from there on, it's the standard work that you do with the Kubernetes cluster if you install it with CAPC, with CAPI, sorry, whether it's CAPC or not. Here are some useful commands. And of course, this is the CloudStack specific configuration that you need when you install CAPC. Here are some cluster control commands that you're going to use on the way. Again, I'm not going to go into the intricacies of what exactly you need in what order, because the documentation is readily available on the CubeSys site, of which I showed you the URL just now. So they're quite related. Under the hood, CKS uses kube control as well. If you look at the CloudStack code, you find a lot of it. If you look for cluster control, by the way, you won't find it. The cluster control parts that are so generic and reproducible that they're actually automated in the Java code. I say both needs typing of some characters, but in this case of CKS, it's only the right URL in the user interface. And with CAPC, there's no interface, basically. Just do it on the command line. If you really wanted, you can do the CKS installation with only the mouse and some copy pasting. So, okay, I was gonna show you some things, and I have to do it like this, I think. to have a small demo, but it's refusing. Let me read through. If there's any questions in between, go ahead. Sorry? Oh,
I have two questions. When you deploy Kubernetes clusters in AWS, there was a slide. Do you use AKS or do you deploy your own Kubernetes clusters in AWS?
this is not about AWS at all.
But there was on the slide somewhere that you also
AWS help develop it,
Oh,
but it's a pure Kubernetes.
okay. So it's open. So CloudStack is not able to deploy a Kubernetes cluster in the AWS environment, correct?
No, you're creating your own control plane where you define your cluster, and then you can, in your definition, say that you deploy it to either AWS or to CloudStack.
Yeah.
But the definition of the cluster is the same. So you would install a cluster for whatever kind of CI you have.
Yeah.
And you have two versions, one goes to AWS and one goes to CloudStack.
Okay.
That's the idea.
Okay, good.
And there's more. If you look at the CAPC website, I think there's about 15 different providers, with some more obscure rumors. All the major.
Yeah. I just wanted to understand because when I spoke with a developer and said, like, yeah, can you create a Kubernetes cluster from an API from our side? We just used the API of AWS and created an AKS cluster. So that's yeah. And is there also a part how you can manage your clusters? So day two operations, something like that you already have implemented, or
Is that also?
something for day two operations that you want to upgrade your Kubernetes cluster, or you have to do it by your own.
I must say that I'm not sure how to do it with the Capex, but there are ways. CKS is a little just picking a great cluster.
Okay.
In your right place in CloudStack.
Okay.
And of course, you can define newer versions.
Yeah.
That's would be option.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to. Can you help me get connected? Okay. No, I was gonna say sorry. There's no time for questions, and also do another one. What? I broke my connection. Sorry. Sorry, the I might. Yes. I'm connected to you.
Nick, can you allow the speaker back into the room?
Right. And right, I'm not going to start the presentation again, or it's going to fail again.
Yeah, you have about 10 minutes left to sit up here, or you want to?
10 minutes?
Yeah, rubbish. Time? Only 30 an hour?
So what I was going to show you is I have two demo environments. One is one that is don't think any minute that these things will work. So we have Kubernetes clusters which was installed with CKS. What I wanted to show you is this is what you need to do. You need to have this defined. Do I shout loud enough? Okay. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you. I have two demo environments here. One is with the CKS cluster installed. This is basically what you need to do to create a cluster. I lied about the typing. You have to type a name, which is a nuisance, of course. But I have here all the defaults, I think, so I can just pick this. I can make it HA enabled, and then 2. Can it do 2? I don't know. Anyway, and it's going to create a new cluster. Now you will see why I didn't want to do a demo, because after my 10 minutes are up, this will probably not be ready yet. But fortunately, I prepared some things. Is this the right one? Yeah. So this is the cluster that was already running on here, Rubik. And you can see here creating cluster, blah, in progress. And here will appear the nodes slowly. Then this is not what I want to show you. This is my other demo environment. And there is in CloudStack a concept of cloud managed. And in this environment, we'll show, I can show you that this cluster is not cloud managed. So again, the difference here, CloudStack is aware of the fact that there is a Kubernetes cluster there. And in the other case, it's all directed from your own environment where you call the APIs and then install virtual machines, and CloudStack doesn't know them otherwise than virtual machines. There's one little hitch there. Yes, it does know the fact that it uses the templates which are specific for a certain Kubernetes version. Also, that is something that I want to show you. In here, nope. In the other environment again. In here, there's a Kubernetes template registered. Well, in here, there are specific Kubernetes ISOs registered. The registering process itself is intuitive. You'll just need to follow the instructions. Let me just quickly check if there's anything that has come up yet. I think there is. The nodes for blah are there. As you can see, I created a cluster with 3 control nodes instead of 1, which is not interesting, but yeah, nice to see. But it's still starting. That's it.